So this is the original PICO PICO Brew. It's taken apart because the glycol needs to be replaced. The lines go dry, and then you get a heating error, which is there's a big temperature differential between what's going in and what's between your lines and your hex, your heat exchanger. And that's not really, that's a common issue with a lot of heat exchangers. You just have to remove this sensor here once you get underneath this thing. And I have instructions how to do this. Someone gave it to me. You remove this, and then I would use like a syringe or something. You want to purge all the air out of this system. And then when you do that, the and then the air will go away. However, I noticed there was a leak here. See this? This is malt extract, nice and sticky. So what we want, and you can see it's coming out of this pump here, and you can kind of see it's a little bit coming out of this pump. So it's probably just the seals that went bad, and these pumps are actually good probably. But I have received 2 more of these machines for free. There's another one in the storage room, so I can literally, I have all the parts. I can run these for a while. Power supply burns out, I have another one, everything. Anyway, I was looking at these pumps, and these are good here. They don't have any issues with leakage. So this is the fan. I'm gonna borrow these pumps and transfer them because these are good. They don't have any leaks. I want to make this now as mint as possible. I transfer a lot of the mint parts there. So after I transfer these pumps, I'm gonna then deal with the hex air, and then after that it should be ready to brew. This actually did brew, but then it sat for a few months, and then the air came back. So we're gonna take care of that. It is kind of a pain in the butt because the heat exchanger is on the bottom of the unit. So this is the bottom setting, and you have to take kind of a few things out to get to it. But once the machine is still good. Once you figure this out, next time it's easier. Now the Z1s, they've improved a lot of stuff. You can still get a hex error, but the nice thing about these machines is you just take the top off, and you have access. The heat exchanger is at the top here, so you have access. You don't have to disassemble the whole machine. And as much I already fixed the hex error on this machine before, much easier. These are on the bottom, kind of a pain in the butt, but I still want to. I mean, they were given to me for free, so I want to make them work. And if I can, if I get an error, if I can brew like 25 times and then get an error and I have to put some more glycol in or water or whatever, that's good enough for me. Whoops, because it saves me a lot of time manually brewing things. So, like I said, once you get used to it, the second time around is going to be much better. So this pump here looks fine. I'm not gonna mess with this pump, but these 2 I'm going to replace. The pumps themselves are good. They just have seal leaks, so I'll look at them later. But for now, I'm just going to swap. This is the Symantec original PICO Brew, and basically the heat exchanger has air bubbles in it, and we have to put more water or glycerin or whatever you want to put to remove it. Now the heat exchanger is on the bottom of these units, and I have instructions that I'm going to ask the guy who put the instructions together. It's like a PDF file with pictures and everything. See if I can share it with you. But basically, the heat exchangers on the bottom. You have to remove certain screws to get to it, and certain pipes and whatever. But basically, what you get there. There you go. I guess let me show you what was in there. In here, there's a sensor that's plugged in here. This is a heat sensor. Remove this. I would just pull on until it comes out. Okay, put it inside. Then take a syringe and then just keep putting water in there until you see all the air bubbles from this hose here come out. You want to get as much of that as possible out of there, air bubbles, because what's happening is there's a heat differential, too much of a heat differential, and then this sensor picks up on that, and then it instructs the computer to stop the brewing. You know, you won't even be able to start the brewing process. So just like continue to do this. It's gonna get into the top here, see? So we're close, we're very close. Now as far as how much water I put in there, is not much. This thing was filled all the way to the top, and I've used maybe half of it. Okay. So just keep putting it in. There you go. We're almost getting to the top. And you want to kind of move these rubber things aside to get any air bubbles stuck in them to come out. Okay? Kind of massage this a little bit. Now, if you don't get everything out, that's fine. Just the key is to get most of it out. Okay? Once you get most of it out, yeah, I'm watching a movie in a room. Guess which movie it is? Probably get a copyright strike on that. Okay, now this, kind of see we're getting to the top. You can see the water now, and there's no air bubbles in this line, the one that's coming in here. So when you're injecting water to this thing, it goes through the heat exchanger, comes out, goes in their heat exchanger, comes out, goes underneath here, and then goes into this one. Then there's two, and then eventually it makes a full loop and goes in here. So now I'll put the sensor in here. For now, it's just like this, so it doesn't leak. There's some water spilled, but that's fine. That's when I was. And then get it all the way in. Okay, so basically you want to inject the water in here. The water will go in here, through this thing, through there, go in here. And then it will come out here on the bottom one, and it goes in here. This is the path of the heat exchanger. This is a circulating line here. But the heat exchanger itself cannot have any air bubbles in it because, like I said, there's going to be a temperature differential, too much of a temperature difference. However, whatever fancy words you want to use, delta, whatever, between the heat exchanger, which this sensor is picking up, and the rest of the system, and it happens really quick because these heat exchangers heat up things pretty quick. Okay, while I was in there, I'm going to put this in there here soon. I also replaced these two pumps. They were not broken, but the seals were, I guess, it's just like in a car engine. The seals, the head gasket seals, you know, you have to replace, and then your engine oil leaks. Same thing here. Same thing here. So let me show you guys. This is an extra unit I'm pulling parts out of. So these are the original. I believe they will work. The amperage is a little bit different. This is 2.5 amps, and the other one's maximum 2, but I think it still will work. If not, I'm going to have to take the shit apart, learn my lessons. And if not, I'm going to have to fix the head gaskets. It's not a big leak, or maybe I just put it in the way it is. But anyway, so these are the original pumps. They definitely had variations of different pumps for the first model, because these are different than the other ones. I'm not really sure which came first, But anyway, I have 2 of these extra units. Someone just gave them to me for free. All the parts except the motherboard. So if the power supply ever breaks or any of these power pumps or anything like that, you know, I have everything. I'm trying to make this unit as mint as possible. Now, this is the Z1 unit. The Z1 will eventually get a heat exchanger air too after X amount of brews. I don't know how many brews, maybe 20 brews, maybe 20, maybe longer. You should put a glycerin in there really, but I don't have any glycerin, so I'm just putting water. And from what I understand, it should last a while. There's this guy who actually put the instructions together. He said he's been brewing like many times, and he just put water in there. So, but the nice thing about the Z1 unit, this is the upgraded from the original, is that the heat exchanger is on the top of this thing. So you just have to take the top off, and then it's much easier to access it. I guess what I'm trying to say is, and the procedure is the same. It's just the line's a little bit different. It's the same thing. You want to remove the air, you know, you want to inject it in. As you can see, I did not put a lot of water in there. Maybe this much. We're not talking about a lot of water, but this amount of air will cause issues. And I'm not like a mechanical engineer, but my understanding is that any heat exchanger for any type of device, doesn't matter if it's beer brewing, something else, if you get enough air in the heat exchanger, you will have temperature differentials, and your system should be smart enough to pick it up and stop it. And that's what the sensor's for. Okay, basically at this point, when you do this, take pictures of everything, video as well, so that you put everything in the right place, like the right wires, the colors, these pipes, like they're actually crossed like this. So if you assume that this one was on the left and the right, you'd be wrong, because they're actually crossed. Meaning this one goes here, and this one goes here. I believe so. But anyway, just take your time. This is not complicated. And then this is one of the heat exchangers in here, like that. I don't know. This is the heater, the actual heater. I think I may have an example, like a boiler. They're not very big. I got a new one just in case. This is for the Z1 in case it ever breaks. I got a new one so it lasts as long as possible. But guys can see this is 1400 watts, 120 volts. So this is the thing that actually heats the water. Yeah, and then the heat exchanger loops it and exchanges it. And I believe that's what this pump is here, to loop it. The other pumps are for the different, I believe they're for the different programming parts of your brew. Some of them recirculate, some of them is doing some other things. Like this pump is definitely connected to the heat exchanger, the whole system, so that's probably hot water. And this might be just cold water, like recirculating. I'm not really sure, really, but there's 2 pumps like this that are exactly the same, and then there's this other pump here. And that's basically the whole system underneath. And then you have a power supply, there's your motherboard. And then this box here, the top here, that's that the armature that moves in different spots. And then you have LCD display, which I put a new one in, and you have an on and off switch. And there's some other power things, a whole bunch of power stuff. And then the grounds for safety and stuff like that. But that's, yeah, I believe I've fixed this. And again, I'm gonna push this in more so that it is also recommended to get maybe these different clamps, the kind of clamps that you can screw in instead of the ones that need a special tool. But these hold good enough. I'm just gonna slip them back on. They slip off. The ones that you need to take off, which are these 2 here. So it's the ones that are connected there. You need to slip this off so this whole thing kind of moves like this. Okay, and then you have to, so that's these two, and then you have to disconnect the sensor. So it's a pain in the butt to get to it, but once you do it once, it's fairly easy actually. Take you once you do it once, I think you should be able to get in and out under half an hour. Take it apart, refill, put it back together, and you're back to brewing many brews. So these machines are worth it. Don't just throw them away. Just, you know, if someone's giving away, take them. That they can, because the nice thing about these machines is that they'll eventually, once you learn it, they'll eventually save you a whole bunch of money. Like, I mean, not money, but time. Sorry, did I said money? Well, money too. These cost a lot of money, and you can get them for free. I think they cost like $1,600 a piece. So that's $1,600. That's $1,600. This was what, like $1,600 or $2,000. And I have another one, and all the stuff was basically next to free. I think I bought this and this for $200, and the guy threw this one in, and these other two I have for parts were free. So it's not bad. All right. Basically, I'm gonna put this in there, dry anything out, and then put everything together and start assembling it, and then we'll just make sure that these bubbles, there's a tiny little bubble, but I don't think tiny bubbles are a problem. I think the problem is let's just make sure. A lot of bubbles is the problem, not one bubble. Okay, we'll see. I've been giving 2 more PICO Brews for free. These are complete. They're just missing the motherboards, because I guess the company, when they were upgrading them, you would have to send in the motherboard. They don't want you to have 2 units, which is a little bit stupid. I don't know. But anyway, I got these. These were $1,600 a piece originally, each. That's about three grand right there. And the guy just drove it to my house, and he was nice enough to give it to me. I would drive to him, but I was too busy. So that's that. And then this unit, I picked the best parts. Like, this is brand new, pretty much. And so a lot of these type of units, they have a hex, a heat exchanger, which is there's a let me see if I can find it here. So there's a heater, a boiler. This is how they look like. 1400 watts, 120 volts. This is fairly small, but this, you know, 1400 watts is kind of almost at the very end of what a 120 line can support anyway, before tripping your circuit breaker. But anyway, this will heat the water, and then it enters the heat exchanger. If there's air in the heat exchanger, you'll get an air. The air isn't very useful, but it is related to that. Basically, you have to take this hole. You have to tip this on the side. The heat exchangers in this first model on the bottom, you have to take the bottom out, and then it's fairly easy. You just inject it with a syringe, just to show you how much air there was in that system. Was this much air, because this is how much water I put in there. It's not a lot of water, but this is enough to cause an air. These newer units have a heat exchanger, so this is the Z1. They build it at the top, so you can just take the top off, and then you can either put water or glycerin. I don't have any glycerin, but I put water in. I brewed about a dozen batches with this guy. I haven't had an issue, but this one eventually got air in the heat exchanger. So I just put some water in, and it's working. And I also fixed the LCD screen because it was loose. It was there's just a double sticky tape that's holding it to the back of the stainless steel. Beyond that, everything always worked in this. I didn't put everything back together because I want to ensure that it works. I'm doing a mock brew right now. And then once the mock brew is successful, we can get some ingredients and we'll brew something. But I got this unit that works really well. I have all the spare parts for it I could ever want. If a pump breaks, I have 2 spare pumps. Now four. There's 2 pumps in there, and the circulating pump. So there's a total of 3. I have 2 extra backups for each pump, so that's good. You know, I don't have the computer, but you can get this in eBay. I doubt they break, but I have screens, I have everything. So I should be able to maintain this machine for a while. Who cares if it's old or not? As long as you brews the beer and it's consistent, that's all that matters. Doesn't matter if the hot tub is 20 years old or 6 months old, as long as it heats, right? As the saying goes. So, yeah. We'll see. We'll see. I'm glad I was a little bit procrastinating on this thing because I knew it was a hex, but to get to this unit is a little bit more pain in the butt than this one. This was much easier to work on. So I was kind of putting it aside, but eventually got to it. Cheers.